On a warm summer night in Cambridge, Massachusetts, the city was alive with the gentle hum of activity. The sun was just setting, casting a golden glow over the historic streets and filling the air with a sense of anticipation and calm. At St. Paul's Parish, nestled near the heart of Harvard Square, a free concert was drawing a diverse crowd. The evening's highlight was a performance by a renowned French youth choir whose reputation for breathtaking harmonies had attracted music lovers from all over the city. Inside, the church was packed. Families, students, and longtime residents filled the pews, their faces lit with excitement as the choir's voices soared through the vaulted ceilings. The atmosphere was one of pure joy and community, united by the universal language of music. But in an instant, that joyful mood was shattered. Without warning, a child in the audience began to seize, sending a ripple of shock and fear through the crowd. Gasps and cries of alarm echoed off the stone walls. Chaperones and adults sprang into action, rushing to the child's side. Some called out for help, while others dialed emergency services, their voices urgent and trembling. The sense of community quickly shifted to one of concern and determination. But the emergency didn't end there. As the first responders were being summoned, more children in the audience began to show similar symptoms, their distress adding to the growing panic in the room. Within moments, the situation escalated. Several children needed urgent attention, and the once celebratory concert was thrown into confusion and chaos as paramedics rushed in to help. The choir's performance came to an abrupt halt. Concern and fear swept through the crowd as people stood, searching for answers, united now by uncertainty and worry about what could possibly be happening. The first emergency call that night was for a single child in distress, a situation that seemed isolated and manageable at first. The dispatcher calmly gathered details, expecting a routine response. But as paramedics rushed to the church, the scene they encountered was far from ordinary. What began as a single medical emergency quickly spiraled into something much larger and more alarming. One after another, more children, some choir members, others local youths attending the event, began collapsing with seizure-like symptoms. The air was thick with confusion and fear as the number of affected children grew rapidly. Within just minutes, 8 children were stricken, their sudden illness shocking even the most experienced emergency crews. The church, once filled with music and laughter, was now a scene of chaos and concern. Paramedics worked swiftly, triaging and treating the sick children, trying to stabilize them as best they could. Their training was put to the test as they managed multiple young patients at once. Meanwhile, adult chaperones did their best to comfort the frightened children who hadn't fallen ill, offering reassurance and keeping them calm amid the chaos. The decision was made to evacuate the church entirely. As families and children filed out into the night, the focus shifted to the ill children and the urgent search for answers. Ambulances lined the street, their flashing lights illuminating the gravity of the situation. The community watched anxiously as emergency vehicles continued to arrive. Thankfully, the remaining attendees showed no symptoms and were safely guided away from the scene, their relief palpable as they reunited with worried parents and guardians. But as investigators arrived and began their work, the mystery only deepened. What could have caused so many children to fall ill so suddenly? And would there be more victims before the night was over? Cambridge's emergency response was swift. Multiple ambulances, fire trucks, and police units secured the area. Paramedics stabilized all 8 children and transported them to local hospitals. None were in life-threatening condition. Relief spread through the community, but questions remained. With the children safe, attention turned to the cause. Was there a contaminant in the church? A hazardous material? The fire department's hazmat team arrived, donning protective gear to investigate. Police kept the perimeter secure as hazmat specialists searched for clues. The community waited anxiously for answers. The hazmat team conducted a thorough sweep of St. Paul's Parish, using advanced equipment to detect toxins or chemicals. Every corner was checked, but no hazardous substances were found. This was reassuring but also puzzling. No environmental cause could be identified. Some attendees reported strange odors during the concert, but nothing was detected by the equipment. The church was ventilated as a precaution, ensuring safety for future events. The investigation's findings, no toxins, no clear cause, were handed to public health officials. The mystery remained. What triggered the children's symptoms? The search for answers continued. As of July 24, 2025, the cause of the incident at St. Paul's Parish remains a mystery. Despite days of investigation, officials have yet to determine what led to the sudden emergency that shook this historic church and its community. The uncertainty has left many searching for answers, and the story continues to unfold as new details emerge. Hazmat teams swept the building for chemical or biological threats, but found nothing dangerous. Thankfully, all 8 children affected by the incident are expected to make a full recovery, and their families have expressed deep gratitude for the swift response of emergency personnel. The relief is palpable, but questions linger. Investigators are leaving no stone unturned. They're examining everything from possible foodborne illness to environmental toxins, and even considering the possibility of mass psychogenic illness. Teams of experts are reviewing evidence, interviewing witnesses, and running tests. But so far, no definitive conclusions have been reached. The community is relieved that the children are safe and recovering, but there's a sense of unease that hangs in the air. Without clear answers, parents and parishioners remain anxious, hoping for clarity and reassurance that their church is safe. Health officials continue to analyze medical records, environmental samples, and data from the scene. They're searching for any link or pattern that could explain what happened, determined to prevent a similar event in the future. The process is painstaking, but the commitment is unwavering. This event is a sobering reminder that emergencies can strike anywhere, even in places of peace and tradition. The quick, coordinated response of first responders and medical teams undoubtedly saved lives and brought comfort to many in a moment of crisis. As St. Paul's Parish and the city of Cambridge wait for answers, they also look forward to healing. The hope is that soon, the church's halls will once again be filled with music, laughter, and a renewed sense of safety, restoring the spirit of community without fear.